Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. This morning talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk in Studio 1A. None other than the one and only Cleo Duke-Wright. Good morning, Miss Cleo. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing very well today.
You doing good? Pull your mic up there. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Okay, let me take this off my neck here.
There you go. You doing all right?
Oh yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Good weekend?
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. You know, it was quiet. I escaped. I escaped for 2 days. It was nice.
Escaped. So was it?
When I say 2 days, I mean a couple of hours of each day.
A couple of hours of each day.
Escape.
That's an interesting. So, where did you escape to?
Oh no, I was just by myself.
Oh,
I went to the shop at the church shop on Saturday alone.
Oh, okay.
No, nobody with me. And then on Sunday, I wasn't expecting it, but I went to church alone. And then I went out with one of the church members, and she showed me some new places to shop. And it was a lot, and I didn't have to drive. So
nice.
It was a great day. It was a great day. Beautiful day on Sunday. And then I got home, and everything was okay. You know, when you get some rest and away from things, when you come back, it wasn't so bad. So it was okay when I went home too. So it was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend. What happened this weekend? I have to think with everything. My days have just blended. They just blend. It's been a blur. I've been very, very, very busy. I've had like back to back productions. So I get like a production, day off, production, day off, production, day off. So they just blend. So that's a
good way to have it. Work off to me.
Yeah. I'm not complaining, but I mean you lose track of time.
Well, I would think if you worked home and you lived home, it would be easy to lose track of time.
Yeah.
You know?
There's no.
Yeah.
Like half of my work is at home when I work. But the other half of it is out. So I go out, I take either my single camera or I take the remote camera setup. So that takes time to set up, takes time to break down, and then there's the actual production. The good thing about that is there's generally there is no edit. There's no editing. There's no real post-production in the studio.
You used to do a lot of editing when we did a show. You don't do any editing now?
I don't do any editing. Everything is live.
Oh, that's right. Before,
right. The reason I like live is because there is no edit. It's done. As soon as we go off the air, I'm done.
Oh.
I'm done. I'm done.
So how did we do it before? We taped it and then you edited it and then it went on?
No, it was always live. We've always done live. You've always been live here. So you may not have realized it.
So what was the editing about?
There's post-production after the program goes off because there's things that I have to do. Like housekeeping. So you gotta... There's rights issues. So the music that we use, we either have permission or rights to. and you have to respond to YouTube claims. So you have to go in and you have to, for every song or thing that is played, you have to give an account for it and answer it. So there's a lot of there's a lot of after the show stuff. It takes me about a half hour to get out of the studio. And
so that you still have to do that now, right?
I do kind of, but I minimized it because we don't use a whole lot of selection of different music like I used to in the past. You know, we use the great Jay Hogarth, which you hear in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's other music which we pay for annual sync licenses for a whole lot of different music, but you know, I've scaled back a lot of the stuff we do here, so yeah. But if I go out with a camera, single camera, there's editing, lots of editing. Like I was up all night. It doesn't feel like I was up all night, but I was up all night. Yeah. When you get on the air, you get an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
It doesn't really matter how tired you are before you go live. Once you're live, I don't know where it is. It just boom. It's like
here I am. Here I am.
Yeah. But that's broadcasting. But I go out with a camera. The first thing I do is I come home. I take the little SD card. I'm looking for one. I have them. They're in this. They're in here. You take the card out of the camera, and you transfer the footage from the card to the computer. First thing you do. And you make sure that there's sound in a picture. Once the sound and pictures is there, then the stress drops off. Because you can't go back and redo it. You know.
Oh.
So hopefully there's no problem with the footage or the card or if card didn't fail.
Oh, so it's not as easy as I thought. Just turn on the computer and
oh no.
Live. Well.
No. No, there's a lot that goes, you know. Then you have to edit it. You have to, you know, you cut it up if you have to. There's some pieces you take out and make it shorter. But more than anything, you have to make sure it's all there. So, you know, over the weekend, I covered, it's not for a lot of, I'll do a lot of things that is not for public consumption. Or public dissemination. So over the weekend there was the 2024 Greater Hartford Puerto Rican Miss Greater Hartford Puerto Rican pageant. It was really nice. There was this young little lady. She's 7 years old, I think. Absolute superstar, rock star. She is going to be somebody.
She was really something.
As soon as when she introduced herself, she took the house. She won. The Little Miss.
The Little Miss. Huh?
Yeah, they have Little Miss. There's Miss Preteen, and then there's Miss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the different age brackets. But yeah, and she came on that stage. She's gonna be a superstar.
She owned that stage.
She owned that stage. She owned the stage.
Oh yes,
it was natural. She has what they call it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's. You wouldn't. Her delivery. Once she started talking, it was a wrap.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
What did she talk about?
It was her energy.
Wait, you felt her energy.
You could feel the energy. Right. I mean, I almost cried. Just the way she introduced herself. I mean, it was powerful. She just, boom, blew you out off the stage. So, she acts, she's one of those people, actors that they say like 2 or 3 words and you believe that that's who they are. They don't have to sell the character. They're just naturally.
That's just their gift.
That's their gift. Yeah, she was good. Friday was it this Friday? Yeah, wow, this is a power-packed weekend. This Friday was Hartford's Got Talent. That was good. That was Joe Young and company. Mm-hmm. That was at the Bushnell. That was Friday. Then Saturday was the beauty pageant. It was 6 hours.
What beauty pageant was that?
The Miss Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's
Miss Greater Hartford Puerto Rican.
Oh, that's a pageant
beauty pageant.
show?
It was a pageant. Yeah.
A pageant. Okay.
Yeah, production was tight. They didn't miss a beat. 6 hours, no beat. There was a 20-minute intermission.
6 hours?
6 hours. It was 6. It's a whole day. It's an all-day event. You get there at 10 and leave at about 7.
Wow.
Then you capture the video, and you want to see what it's going to kind of look like, so you put it on the timeline. And I'll be finished today at 2:30, 3 o'clock. It's finished. I just need to do the second. It's so big. It's a part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is 2 hours and 39 minutes. Part 2 is going to be about 2 hours and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's long for anything.
It's not long if it's good.
And it was that good.
It's good, yeah, if you like watching, talented people.
Wow.
You watch a golf game.
Well, I wouldn't watch a golf game for 10 minutes.
Or the Indianapolis 500. Or a football game. I mean, it's a contest, so it's, raw talent. Yeah. If you like entertainment industry stuff and plays and acting and singing and dancing and all that kind of stuff,
it wouldn't have been hard to watch.
It wouldn't have been hard to watch. Yeah. I could see you being there for the whole day.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, because you would admire the talent.
So it was open to the public or no?
It's open to the public, but these kinds of events are generally supported by family and friends and family. So it's open to the public like graduations are. Mm-hmm. Each graduate gets like 2 tickets.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then it's full. So
okay, yeah.
There were 12 contestants. And you have the speech, costume, the introduction. Well, there's an opening number where everybody's involved. Mm-hmm. Then there's the introduction of the contestants. So if you have 12 contestants and each introduction is about 5 minutes, well, it's maybe not that long, about maybe 2 minutes. But if you figure 5 minutes per person, that's an hour.
It's like a beauty contest.
It is a beauty contest.
It's a beauty contest.
Right. No swimsuits or anything like that, but they do the introduction, a costume that they make that speaks to a town from where the person is from. They represent different towns in Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. Then there's the they give a question. Something else happens. I can't remember what that is. And then the intermission comes. then there's the gown. And the gown is also with a question. You have to do the gowns, and they all get up. They all come back out on stage, and they go down. They all have to answer a question from a sealed envelope. And then there's the judging. Now, you can only imagine if there were 24 contestants. Because there's only 2 contestants for the Miss. Those are the 16 and 18, I think, or something like that. There were only 2. So if you'd have added another 4, that'd have been 6. That'd have been an extra. That'd have been a whole other
couple of hours.
Hour at least, I would say. Yeah, because those 4 would have participated all the way through.
Oh, well, that sounds like fun.
It was fun. I like seeing talented people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it was nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
I always say I have the best seat in the house because I'm behind the camera. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Well, if you're doing something that you love.
If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. It's been a long time since I had to work. Long time.
I told my children that coming up. What's your passion? Do something that you like to do and you won't mind going to work. Just one son found it, and one son went after money. Miserable.
It's nothing more miserable than working for money.
Miserable. Yeah. All the time. I guess the only day that wasn't miserable was payday. He was happy on payday, but
the only thing that makes it worthwhile, you're working for the money. So money owns you instead of you owning the money.
Absolutely. So finally now he's saying, I gotta find something that I really like. And I look at him and I just roll my eyes and go there. Oh.
Yeah.
I always thought that was so important because even though they call me fickle, I always followed my passion.
You have to.
I didn't know any other way to live. I always followed my passion.
Yeah, follow your passion. Even if your passion changes, change with it. Yes. I remember when I went to school for aviation maintenance technology. So I went trade school, I guess you could call it trade school. I went to a technical tech school, Votech.
Mm-hmm.
Took aircraft maintenance. And the guy who ran the school, not the Votech school, but the aviation school, because there was also the Upper Bucks County School of Aviation Maintenance Technology, and so the tech school sent the students to that school for our course.
Mm-hmm.
It was half day, 11th and 12th grade, but his name was Dale Ezro. And it seemed to me, of course, I was 16 and 17 years old, so 16 and 17-year-olds are impressionable. Mm-hmm. They don't think they are, but they are. And it seemed to me that the sun rose and set by his command. To this day, that's how he seemed to me. He told the sun it could rise. He told the sun it could set. So he was like large and in charge of everything. And he said, don't work any place. And this became my bedrock for how I approach it. Don't work anywhere that you wouldn't return to as a volunteer if they fired you. So if they fire you on a Friday, you show up on a Monday as a volunteer. If you find a job like that, you will never work a day in your life. And if you hate your job, quit. Do yourself and everyone a favor, because there's nothing worse than a miserable person on the job.
Yes.
They poison everything. And I lived by that.
I've only had one job that I really it was what I did in other places, and I loved. But this one particular place that I got a job at, I went into the interview. Everything in me says, don't take this job. You are not going to like it here. But, of course, I didn't believe myself, and I took the job, and I was not happy from the beginning, from the very day. I didn't even like getting in my car, going there, nothing. Nothing. I liked, I liked planning programs and getting children involved, and I did some of my biggest programs there. But I was never comfortable doing them, and I was never comfortable with the people. So eventually, I quit. The minister said to me, I had gotten a program together, and I was going to do this prayer, and I found a beautiful prayer. It was Native American, and she says to me, "That's not a prayer. That's Native American. That's not a prayer." And I said, "What do you mean?" I didn't understand what she was talking about, But I did the prayer right. And she told me, I was the director of religious education, so I was over all the Sunday school teachers. And one day she said to me, the teachers were, Sunday school and church were at the same time. So teachers never got to go to church. And so they said, please, could we, it was a vacation. I don't know what it was. We weren't having Sunday school, So they said, please, can we go to church? There was just a few kids that we had to attend to that day. Could we go to church? And the minister had already told me the teachers are not to come to church. They are to stay with the kids, the few kids we had in the Sunday school. So the teacher said, oh, we really want to go to church. So I said, okay, go to church. You can go to church, and I'll stay with all the children. And so they went to church, and after the minister said to me, I thought that I had made it clear that they weren't supposed to come to church. And I said they wanted to go to church so badly that I told them they could go to church. And you did make me director of religious education. And I do have some rights. and I am over the teachers.
Right.
So that was my decision. So we didn't get along after that too much. We didn't get along too much after that because I didn't understand how you can't make me in charge of something and make all the decisions.
Right.
So if I'm in charge of them and I'm in charge of the teachers, and especially if they're looking at you like you're in charge, if they're acting like you're in charge, and like these decisions are coming from you, so I made the decisions, and she wasn't happy, and eventually I just left on my own because it wasn't gonna work anyway, and I left on my own. But you have to learn eventually how to get along in situations like that. I didn't know how to learn. I didn't learn at that point. I don't know if I learned now. I wouldn't get into a situation like that now. I wouldn't do that. But so I was I didn't think too much of her. And when one of my uncles died, my aunt started going to that church, and so she was going to do the funeral. I didn't know that till I came in to the wake, and I saw her, and and she was going to do my uncle's funeral. I said, oh no, she cannot do my uncle's funeral. I said it to myself. So she was standing there, not knowing anybody. Not knowing my uncle, not knowing really anything about him because he didn't go to church, not knowing anything about him, didn't know the family except the one person. And so she's standing there, and she's just looking around. She's standing there. And so I'm standing there, and I said, should I approach her and give her a little helping hand?
Mm-hmm.
Or should I sit over here and watch her squirm? Because she looks extremely uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you got to go over there and help her, don't you? I said, you got to go over there and help her. You don't want to help her, but you're going to help her. So I go over there and I say, hi, Karen, how are you? And she answers me, and she says, oh, are you part of this family? And I said, yes. I said, that's my uncle. She said, oh. And I said, let me introduce you to the head of our family and give you some information. So I introduced her to my Uncle Andy, who graciously started talking to her, and then other members started talking to her about my uncle and his life and all of that, and And so when she did the funeral, she used all of that.
Oh, wow.
She used all of that in the funeral, talking about my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, oh, well, Lord, I guess I had to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really, in my heart of hearts, didn't want to help her. I just thought that I had to help her.
Mm-hmm.
I was pushed to help her, so I did that.
Well, that's I think that's a good thing. To doing the right thing. You never feel bad for doing the right thing.
Right. I really, I don't feel bad about doing the right thing. I don't know. I really don't know. She went on. She spent a lot of time in Africa. She was working in Africa, and I wondered how could she have. Because to me, she seemed a little racist. She seemed a little, superior here. So I'm saying, how in the world could she have worked in Africa? I said, because it appears to me that she's racist.
Well, a lot of times people are, they take, this mic, I don't know, leaning into them. A lot of times people think that people, I guess there's no real nice way to say it. A lot of times people treat other folks as though they're beneath them. So they need you. The poor little people there, if I wasn't here, what would they do? Kind of approach. I guess it's condescension, because they, like you would treat children.
Yeah.
If the children don't have you, then they're going to suffer. So, a lot of people like to, call it the Cecil Rhodes syndrome. The people here are not as intelligent. They don't have the capacity to be as intellectually.
Could have been. I never thought of.
Therefore, we have to help them, because that's our lot in life, is to help the lessers.
But if they write a prayer, it's not really a prayer.
Of course not, because they're lesser than you.
So she might not have been. I don't know what she was. I can't tell what she was. I don't know what she was. But I felt that way when I was there. Maybe what I was feeling is her superior attitude. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what I was feeling, and I didn't like it, and I don't think she really liked me either.
Sometimes people genuinely don't get along. There's always that person in the crowd. Let me rephrase that. There's generally someone in every crowd that you click with, and the chemistry is right.
Yeah.
And it's like an instant friendship, or you guys, people click. Then there's the other end of the spectrum where there's that person that you just don't. They do themselves and me a favor and stay on the other side of the room. That kind of, because you don't get along with them. There's sometimes people's chemistries just don't mix.
There's so many times I didn't get along with people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they got along with me better than I got along with them.
Mm-hmm.
They accepted me better than I accepted them.
I'm not. You know what? I don't see anything wrong with that. Sometimes you just don't get along. I think everyone. This is I'll say it stand, not necessarily the truth. I think it's good when people that don't get along acknowledge that we don't get along. You ain't got to get along with everybody. You don't have to like everyone. Yes. And be honest about it. All this fake pretense of getting along with folk you can't stand I don't think that's beneficial. Because it's a pretense. You
just ought to
just be real. I don't like you, but we got to work together, so let's get the job done and do it right. If I can help you, I will. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, why does someone have to like you?
I once thought that I would feel very bad if someone didn't like me, but they don't have to like me now. I don't really can't really like me or not.
Right.
As long as you don't mess with my life.
There you go. Right.
Don't mess with my life.
Right.
You don't have to like me. Just don't mess with my life.
Right.
And I won't mess with yours.
Right.
Because I'm not out to hurt anybody. I will help you even if I can't stand you.
Right.
If you have a need and I'm there, I'm gonna help you. But I don't have to like you.
It's interesting because I think the most fascinating thing is human nature and how people behave. But think about all of the people, the thousands of people, well, the hundreds of people that you walk past in a day that you don't know from Adam, will never know. In all likelihood, will never see them again, and you don't think twice about them. They're just another human being on the street that you walk past. And it happens every day. You don't I wonder what they're thinking about. I wonder who they with. You don't think about it. They're just other people. Yet there's some people folk meet and it's they're upset because that person doesn't like them. To me, it's a lot of energy wasted. Because who cares? I mean, as long as they're not messing with you.
Right. As long as they're not messing with you, just if they like you or not. But I've met people who, if you say you don't like them, get very upset and go and carry on and try to make your life miserable because you don't like them. Well, all you have to do is stay away from me. You don't have to,
right.
But they get very, very upset about that. You don't even like me.
You don't like me, do you? Huh?
No, I don't like you.
I don't know you. I don't mean.
Yeah, that's a fusion. That's a answer I usually use. I don't know you. And I don't.
I might like you better if I got to know you. I don't dislike you. I don't know you.
We have this man in the building who, I might have told you about him. Always walks with his head down, looking at the floor. And I'm always saying, what is so interesting about that floor? He never lifts his head up, never lifts his eyes up. So I just pass him by. I say, oh gosh, he must be miserable. I just pass him by and he waits. He doesn't really get on the elevator with anyone. So that's okay. Let me just leave him alone because, something, when you feel like something's going on with somebody, just leave them alone to their own. Unless they come to you for something, just leave them alone. Don't try to force them to say hello or force them to be friendly with you or,
One thing I have given much consideration to of late, interfacing with my dad has given me great opportunity to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's 91. He just turned 91. He's 91. And he is of extreme sound mind. I have to choose my words carefully because he may watch the program. And he's still my dad, so you know. And I mean that in the sense that he still holds dad power. You know, like mom and dad power in your life.
Oh, my father did till the day he died.
You know.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, so, you know, you at 62 get in trouble. 65 get in trouble from your parents.
Hey, I never ever, except for one time, I never talked back to my father. Never. And the one time I talked back to him was he just had put his life in jeopardy, and it just upset me so much that I just spurted it out, you know, without thinking. And he just laid in that bed and looked at me. He did not say a word. And after I spurted it out, I shut up. And I wondered, you know, sometimes I wonder if he had become more of a friend to me, or we had grown from that daughter-father relationship. Sometimes I think he would have lived longer, because I would have done things a little differently if I had been an adult with him instead of a child with him. You know, because there were certain things. If I said something and he did not agree, and you know, and I said, but Dad, such and such, and he did not agree. Well, that was the end of that conversation. Once I said my mother was living with me, and I said, you know, I think Mom would be better off in her own apartment. She'd do more if she was in her own apartment, and she'd have a fuller life if, you know. Now they had been divorced since I was 17, but that meant nothing. He looked at me and said, "No, that is not a good thing to do. Do not, no, just no."
End of subject.
You know, and my mother stayed with me until after my father passed away, and she was fine in her own apartment, and she had her own life, and you know, but I would not have done that if my father had been living. You know, wouldn't have tried that. And they had not lived together. You know, he had remarried. His wife was in a convalescent home. And I thought he had never lived by himself. So that scared me. And I went over his house and I said, "Dad, you never lived by yourself." I said, "You gal, blah, 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 blah," you know. And so I said, now make sure you come over my house on Sundays to have dinner every Sunday. Come on over. So, because he wasn't very close, him and his wife, when they would get very close, you had to go see him. So he started coming over my house every Sunday, and he got closer to my kids, and then he'd pop up in the middle of the week, and he'd pop up this place, and my kids would drop everything and go run, and because Grandpa was there. And my son was just telling me the other day, his friends used to laugh at him because when my father came, he'd drop everything because he knew that my father drank coffee like an alcoholic drinks liquor. You know, so he had his own cup, his big cup. So my son would run in there, get his cup, make sure he had a little snack, sit down and talk to Grandpa. Then he would call downstairs and he'd tell my mother, he said, Grandpa's here. And, she'd holler up, hi, Nate, you up there? He says, yeah, Earlene. And up they go, and they would talk for hours and hours and hours. But but he wouldn't tell you any of his business. My father was very quiet. Old folks didn't talk.
They don't discuss this. Yeah.
But if I had known a little more, and if I had been a little smarter, I just think that he'd have lived a little longer. If I had been a woman instead of a child, a friend, instead of a child, instead of listening to everything he said and just went along with it, even though I didn't think he was right. I think that, so sometimes I think children got to grow up.
Yeah.
And be friends to their parents, whether the parents, and they really, I think parents really want that at a certain age.
They do. My dad, he calls because he wants someone to talk to. And so I talk to him more now than I ever talk to him. I talk to him every day. Every day. He called me yesterday. I was trying to edit. He kept calling, so I didn't answer the phone because I knew he wouldn't talk. I knew what he wanted to talk about. He wants to get a car. And I know I have friends of mine whose parents are older, and they're trying their best to get them to stop driving. So he wants a car. Now, he rides his bicycle. He can't ride it up the hill, but he'll ride it down. He tries to walk it back up the hill. So it's a big debate between him, me, and my sister as to whether or not to get him an electric bike. We're trying to get him to take an Uber. But, people get a certain age, and that's not how they, get in a car with a stranger. So he doesn't trust Uber.
Okay.
So, so when I go down next week, we're gonna set up the Uber on the phone and make sure he gets on the Uber, take an Uber ride somewhere.
Will an electric chair help him? I mean,
electric bike?
Electric. That's yeah.
Yeah, but
or a scooter.
He fell on the bike the other day.
But he wouldn't fall on a scooter. Scooter like
standing up. I don't know. My sister's terrified that he's gonna fall on the bike. Well, he fell on the bike, but he scraped his hand. He didn't really get hurt or anything. But he,
I would be nervous too if I was.
Yeah. So, but he's
life. Yeah.
He's very strong-willed. And I want to say stubborn, but he's not necessarily stubborn. He's going to have his way. And to the degree that it really doesn't matter what you say. If he wants to do something, he's going to do it. So I think I have my sister at that point. But the thing that I did notice that has caused me, give me great reflection is friends. The need for friends. And I've always said to people, make friends while you're young so that they become lifelong friends.
Yes.
And so he has had lifelong friends, but he is outliving his friends. And his one friend, I think, is getting ready to move up to New England. And as the son bought her a condo. Mm-hmm. So she's going to come up here. She could be near her son and her grandson. So that's his one. So he only has like 2 friends left.
At 90
and at 91. So it occurs to me that you have to make friends. Every opportunity you have, you should make a friend. Because you get a certain age and making friends is not as... Theoretically, you can make friends easily, but in practice, you get set in your ways, and of course, the people you're likely to make friends with are the same age or younger than you, and they get set in their ways, and so you wind up being kind of lonely. And if you're a social type person, that loneliness doesn't work well.
That's why we started the visitation, because so many people are so lonely. That's why this little group that I'm part of want to go in and talk to people and have activities with people and read and do whatever suits them, to do. And that's what I wanted to talk to the African American Alliance, if they had know any people who are just in homes who need company.
People need company. It's just, you have no one to talk to, and you just sit around, and it seems the thing I observe is, my wife always talks about, because she does lots of stuff with the girls. This year was the first year that they didn't go anywhere during the summer or spring break. Every year, she takes the girls and they go on an adventure to create and build memories. So they've gone to Boston, they go to Philadelphia, they've gone to Washington, D.C., they go different places, New York, and to make memories. So it seems to me that he is thinking back on times. Well, it's not seems to, he is. So if you don't have anyone to talk to and you start thinking back, and I found that while the memories, they're nice memories, they bring about great sadness. So it's like Ecclesiastes talks about, everything is vanity and vexation of spirit. It's here, but only in a vapor. And then you think back on these things and all these memories. He can remember this, he remember that. He talked about this when he worked in the steel mill in Pittsburgh, and there's 13 of them, and then everyone had biscuits. Keeps telling me about, we had biscuits. Store-bought bread was for Dad, and his mother, make sandwiches and put it in the lunchbox. But everyone else had biscuits because the store-bought bread was expensive, And but
biscuits taste better.
It tastes, but the kids, times were tight and money was hard, and so, but he remembers my mom. He remembers when we were kids, and you start thinking back on it, and I can see where if this is all you had to do, sitting in your house by yourself, and no one to really talk to, the happy memories would become points of where you start getting real sad and depressed. And, suicide rate among seniors, especially men, is very high.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they had a thing on in the local papers here about a week or two ago. Seniors and youth, since the pandemic, taking their own lives and across the country. So people need someone to talk to and to argue with. That's what talk with.
My dad said that. My dad.
You debate and to agree and disagree, and that's that's part of life.
My dad said that same thing. What you're saying right now. Even though he remarried, he said he couldn't talk to anybody but my mom about certain things about his life. He can't talk to his wife about it because he spent his life with my mom. And so he said, I could only talk to your mom. And they would talk all the time. She would just go over his house and they would just sit and talk, when my son would come with them running around, and because that's what they knew. And they could. So I understand your father not feeling sad about not being able to. The memories are wonderful, I suppose, at times, but then when you realize all those people are no longer here, and there's no longer a way to laugh about the fun times, even to laugh about the bad times. And there's who's gonna talk to me about? Who's gonna talk to just like my friend who kept marrying women and finally married this practically teenager, and he wanted to reminisce. She wanted to run. Who do you think?
Hear about you reminiscing with some old folk?
He finally got a divorce from, I think it was his fourth or fifth wife, and came back home to where the people he knew, and wanted to take care of his mother before she passed, and stayed. But I said, some people can't just go out and date, and he had to marry everybody. So I said, you married her, you got what you wanted. Now, hey, live with it, But of course, he couldn't live with it. They parted. They parted ways, but you gotta have someone to talk to. That's why. And Zoom is not the answer.
No.
Zoom is not the answer.
No. You need someone you can actually talk. Now, for the kids of today, because my daughters, both of them, they have Zoom friends because they came out of that pandemic and school through Zoom thing. So they have friends to this day that they are dearest of friends with, and they spend time on Zoom. But for older people,
it doesn't work.
Where you want to look face to face, a phone call or something like that doesn't cut the mustard. When you gonna come and visit? Well, we can talk on the phone. I don't want to talk on the phone. I want to see you. No, Zoom is not the same.
No. Lily was saying that just the other day, that he wanted to.
He renewed his rent. His lease.
Oh,
he renewed his lease. He sent me a message. I was surprised. He sent me a message on Facebook. Facebook Messenger. That he renewed his lease. I was stunned.
He told me that. He told me that yesterday. He said I had no choice because I can go into these apartments. He wanted one in Windsor or something like that. And he said, I'm old and they think I'm going to die. So they just put me on a waiting list. And I want to go over here, but that was too far away. I said, give me a break. You didn't want to move. You didn't
spend no money.
You didn't try to move. Come on. Stop this foolishness. Alvin would have helped you. Alvin, he would try to put me in that building that you're in, and I don't want to buy anything. I don't want to blah blah blah. I said, please, Lily. I said, please. He was going off. He was just saying how old he was, and he's about to die. He's 84.
Oh my gosh, he's young.
84, and I told the doctor I had this, and the doctor said he had the same thing. Don't worry, just going. I said, when you get to a certain age, you're gonna have a few aches and pains. I mean, the body been around a while. I said, hey, Lily, there's some things you can't do anything about. You gotta just live through them. Now, most of the people I know have some kind of arthritis or stiffness in something. You walk through it. It's not going to kill you.
Right. Just another stage of life. Like just when you couldn't walk, you had to crawl.
We had to crawl. He said every other day I took a walk to visit my sister-in-law on the next street. And I was doing this vigorous walking. It only took me 15 minutes to get to Lorraine Street back to my house. Back to my... So I'm walking. I'm feeling so good because I love to do that fast walking. Do you think I could walk the next day? I I limped through the whole day because I had, my ankle hurts me. My right ankle hurts and my left knee cracks. So I was just going like this, But I got up and I went. I was telling them, I said, you just get up and you go. And then, you get your rest and you do your little thing and your pain goes away and you walk again another day. But he's woe is me every single day. If you're woe is me every single day, nothing good is going to happen to you.
No.
Because you will not recognize anything that's good. You won't recognize anything that's good that comes along. You won't recognize because you're so into being negative. You won't even see it. You won't even see it or appreciate it. Appreciate this nice day. I said, isn't it a beautiful day? So into the past and past hurts. He was hurt a lot. But he lives for the hurt. He lives for the hurt. If the hurt went away, would we know?
Would he have any, goodness, opportunity, and good fortune come and knock at the door and you ask him, what do you want? Well, we're here for you. I don't know you. Go away. And misery comes and you look like you need a friend. Come on in and sit down. And people, we really get out of life what we want because there's so many things we can choose.
Yes.
And lots of times people wind up choosing. They choose the reality.
Your life
are
your choices.
Yeah.
Your life is the way it is because of the choices you've made in your life, because God gives us choices.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you get to a point, I look at my life and I'm here because of the choices that I've made.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much so. Nobody brought me to the point that I am now.
Yeah, I think that's true for everyone. People will say, well, it's easy for you to say because you've had opportunity to make great choices. Now, you may not start off being able to make some choices, but as you move through life, you have nothing but choices. You can choose to get out of situations, just like other people choose to get into situations.
Yes.
There's a lot of people born with a silver spoon. They ain't doing real good because they chose not wise decisions. And people born in the grips of poverty with nothing who are quite successful and quite comfortable because they made decisions and choices to move out of that situation. So we are way more in control than we allow ourselves to be many times.
Yeah, absolutely. I told my son, you're taking a wide road now. You better narrow it up a little. Narrow that road up. Yeah.
Well, Miss Cleo, it's 10-ish. And we'll take our break here, and Mr. Small will be here, and he's in the house, and we'll see what Jonathan has to talk about. Some Jay Hogarth here. I want love. I don't want hate. And this is done at Van Gelder Recording Studios down in New Jersey. That was a really, really fun time. Inglewood Cliffs. All right, so I'll see you next week, Miss Cleo.
You shall see me next week.
All right, stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Jonathan Small is in Studio 1A. How you doing there, Jonathan?
Hey, doing fine, Stan. It's a pleasure to be back here again.
Oh, yeah. It's always a pleasure to have you here in studio.
Right.
How was your weekend?
Oh, the weekend was just fine. I mean, nothing really spectacular. Just, relaxing and, probably taking like a drive out, spin out. And I guess summer's arriving. I know there's some activities being planned for this month of June. Taste of Hartford, taste of other towns too. Anything that you did in particular this weekend?
This weekend? It was a busy weekend. It was busy. But I went into great detail about that at the beginning of the program with Cleo.
Oh, okay.
To spare the audience another rehash.
Something like a problem happened?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was a good weekend. It was very, very busy.
Oh, okay.
It was busy. A lot of productions.
Yeah, you usually stay busy,
Yeah, I call myself retired, but I am busier now than I have ever been.
Yeah. I know somebody that's a retired person, and he tells me the same thing. He still stays busy. I guess things always come up, self-employed, whatever you want to classify it as, and everything. But yeah, I mean, like I say, a lot of outdoor activities should be arising this month, going into the summertime. Just try to find something to do that draws your interest. If it's no more than just getting outside, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Anything happening in the news here?
Nothing really major, I don't think. I mean, there's always some things happening. National news. I mean, I'll be talking about that later on Face to Face with a Democratic political strategist, analyst. The President Donald Trump guilty, but that's a national scene.
Yeah, that's
local wise. Although, like I said, I mentioned last week, I found out about it online, that Connecticut's report that came out 35 years ago about the other Connecticut. And basically, I guess I just wasn't paying attention at that time. Obviously, I don't know how long they took for this report to be publicized. But it looked at the three cities in Connecticut, Hartford, Bridgeport, and New Haven, and making some disparities towards I guess the cities comparable to the wealth in the state. I think at that time, Connecticut was the richest state in the country. I think it's about second or third. I don't think it's the number one. I think Maryland is the number one richest state in the country. But it was kind of really...
This is a 35-year-old report.
It is. I mean, that's when you had the housing projects. They targeted Stowe Village housing projects as one example. And they did some surveys in Bridgeport. But they also did some other areas in Connecticut, too. The rural parts.
Rural Connecticut has a lot of poor people in it. It's not just the urban... There's not just the urban areas where there's poor people. People that don't have lots of money, disposable income. And it's just that I think Connecticut has a concentration of a concentration of wealthy people.
Right. Well, the thing about the disparities in just the image, I mean, a state trooper was killed this past week.
Tragic accident.
Yeah, was that in what?
He was hit.
No, but I mean, where was it? Like on a highway in Farmington?
I think it was on a highway. Yeah,
but I'm trying to think of the town because I want to make a point. I'm trying to remember where it was at in Connecticut. I just can't remember. It was, I guess, like I say, on the highway. I just can't remember the town. And then wake up this morning and hear a tragic incident of a toddler runs out of a laundromat in Hartford and ends up being killed by a hit and run driver. Now, they caught the person, I believe, Stan, that killed the trooper. And I don't even think that person turned himself. And I think I don't know how they tracked him down, but I don't.
I think they drove off and ran or stopped, but they caught the person.
Mm-hmm. But my point is, when something happens in your inner cities, it kind of draws way more negative, somewhat not even negative, but just say this is just the way things happen. You know, okay, another hit and run incident in the capital city. You know, that's what goes on there.
There's more people there.
It's more people there, right? And the isolated incident where the state trooper was killed, you know, I don't know if that's not the norm. I mean, most state, although I'm hearing more law enforcement officers are being killed throughout the country.
Which is not good.
No, ambush styles.
Mm-hmm.
But the article about Connecticut being two different cities or two different, you know, I guess two different states or whatever, however you want to break it down. I mean, I don't know what you can really do about that.
The two Connecticut's, the two Hartfords, the three Hartfords. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I agree with the three Hartfords. When you say three Hartfords, you meaning what? Though, when you say three Hartfords.
Well, when I say the three Hartfords, I mean there's those that are affluent, and then there are those that are in the middle, and then there are those who are poor. You've got people who can go on vacation anytime they want, can do whatever they want, and then you have those that are trapped in poverty.
Yeah.
And the poverty is like 1 to 2 blocks off of all the main thoroughfares. If you drive through Hartford, you wouldn't see it. You have to get off the main ways to go back into the neighborhoods.
Yeah, well, I think another thing is that you could be on Scarborough Street and see what, many mansions.
Scarborough Street is what, 1 block?
1 block
long.
But you can be on Terry Road. I mean, it's a small radius.
Terry Road's what, 2 blocks long?
Yeah, but I mean, it's close to, let's say, Baltimore Street. See the difference between Terry Road and
it's
Baltimore
separated
Street?
by Baltimore Street is separated by a river.
Oh, is it? No, you mean this? I thought it was separated by Route 44. I thought Route 44 can take you from Terry Road.
Route 44 takes you down Terry Road, past you come out Terry Road, hang a right, go past the Village for Families and Children, down past Scarborough, across the river. Over here is the new housing development they're building.
Right.
You drive straight down, over past Homestead, and then you get to Baltimore Street. It's not like it's 1 block away.
No, but it's close. You can get there in a couple minutes driving. You can walk there, 5?
Right. Well, Hartford is that kind of a town.
No, but the point is there's a tremendous. You just broke down the 3 different categories, right, of how you see Hartford.
Yeah.
Well, Terry Road and Baltimore Street is totally 2 different social economic, streets.
To my point, you go 2 or 3 blocks off the main thoroughfare, and there's your poverty.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the percentage now. I don't know how when you break down the 3 Hartfords, I don't know the percentage that you're talking about.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a moot point.
It's a moot point.
Really. I mean, I'm simply suggesting that that's everywhere. It's not just in Hartford and just in Connecticut. If you go to Philadelphia has a whole neighborhood that looks like Scarborough Street.
Yeah.
Several of them. Neighborhoods where you drive for serious time before the neighborhood starts to change. Hartford is small.
Yeah.
It's a small town, and it has all those different dynamics in it. So, yeah, there's disparity because there's a disparity between people that have a lot and people who don't.
Well, that was the report I guess they was looking at from 1989. The only difference between 1989 and throughout the country now, you have less public housing projects. HUD has demolished the majority. So that's one way to reduce poverty, I guess. Yeah, get the government to reduce the housing.
You don't reduce the poverty, you just spread it out.
To different parts of the region.
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't. Their economic. They didn't increase. These individuals increase their economic capacity, their purchasing power. Has that gone up? Or they just don't live in a concentrated area.
Well, I think that's the key. I think, and that's
right. So the poverty is still there. It's just better disguised.
Yeah. Well, because the new, I guess now obviously, I think the new Westbrook Village by Park River is not going to be like an impoverished area because
that's not impoverished. You need to pay some rent.
That's
over
what
there.
I'm saying. So that's going to change.
Not right. That's going to be middle class.
Mm-hmm. That's even how you define middle class. I mean, I guess you could say middle class is a certain income structure, you know. But the point is, I mean, reports are one thing, people's lives are another. You know, you can do reports and documentaries and, you know.
I often wonder, what is the purpose of the report? Now that people know, what are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
34 years ago?
35.
35 years ago. So, like, you know, people do these reports, it makes big news, folk get talking points, and then nothing changes.
Well, you know, in the documentary, former Mayor Eddie Perez, I forgot the position where he was working at, but they had some programs that they were working with the people, because this was 1989, so he was part of some organization before he became mayor.
One Chain.
One Chain was out. Okay, I thought it was another one too, but what?
Chain, Clay Arsenal, Chain, Northeast, and then something. But he was also over at Trinity College.
Yeah, this could have been where he was at.
Right before he became mayor.
Well, he became mayor in 2001, so...
Okay, so I don't know where he was at that time.
Yeah, he was dealing with some organization, and they was talking about Stowe Village.
It might have been One Chain.
Could have been One Chain, yeah.
Somehow that's in my mind.
Right. Because they were saying getting the people, providing the type of training, you know, post-training that they would need. And I guess you're going to get a few people that's going to go through these programs and they can get their lives turned around. And
concentrated inner city poverty can be resolved. Poverty is going to be very difficult as a whole, but concentrated poverty within the inner city, those things can be attacked and resolved. The question is, do the people that run things want that to happen? And the obvious answer is no.
Well, if I'm in concentrated inner city poverty and I get a better income, if I get a better job or I go into business, that's one thing. Isn't that one way how
not you per se, but and singular individuals move out of poverty every day? Eliminating and getting rid of poverty, if there's a concerted effort, can be accomplished in concentrated urban areas, if that is what people want. They don't want that.
Well, ask yourself, you just said something. You say single people move out of poverty every day.
Right. So if you have, let's say you have 5,000 people in a concentrated area and 20 of them get a job, that's not eliminating poverty.
Right.
Because those 20 will be replaced by somebody else.
Well, that's what I mean when you're saying people, like if 5 people move off of Baltimore Street, 5 other people are going to move back. And it's not to kick a street or kick a neighborhood, but, you know, this whole trend of bringing the middle class back into the city, they're not going to be going to Baltimore.
They may be going to Baltimore Street because the Baltimore Street is not a bad street. So they got some good housing stock.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, the history. I mean, have you been on Baltimore Street?
I'm
recently?
talking about in terms of physical assets, in terms of structure, housing structures. So if you gave somebody that block for 6 months and got rid of all of the residents that live there now, you could turn that street into a desirable destination.
Yeah, you could turn it into.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
All right. The people, to a large degree, are the character of an area.
Right.
If you replace those people, the character will change.
Well, that's the same thing with the new Westbrook Village. That's going to be a much
right. So I mean, this is You know.
But you can't rely always on the Hartford Housing Authority or government. The one missing piece is
Could be that they're the ones that keep you in poverty.
The government, yeah, they do that. That's true. You know, a lot of things haven't worked.
Right, like redlining, government sanctioned. You know, perpetual poverty program.
Yeah. Well, you know,
because poverty is lucrative.
Yeah.
Somebody's making a lot of money off of poverty.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people are making money off of jails.
Yeah. Well, I think the program, the way they did the documentary and what Eddie Perez was talking about during his segment is, you know, they took an individual. They actually had computers. They were showing the introduction. They had the big computers at that time, and she went through some type of class. I think she ended up getting a job at a bank.
These are good things. These
Yeah.
are good things. We do this on a large scale. We call them schools.
Okay. Yeah.
And we train whole groups of people to be ready for the job. And nothing wrong. Anyone can be trained, and you can get a few people, and that's good. I'm not disparaging or making. Yeah, this is good. But if you want to attack poverty, it requires to be done.
Well, I think it's like what you were saying with Electric Boat. You bring an industry like that and people get employed. If that's the mechanism, as one example,
there's an opportunity for a lot of people to have lifelong jobs working for General Dynamic and Electric Boat, because the door is open. Because so many people are going to be retiring and getting out, and they need to replace those people. Once they find the people, then the door is going to close,
right?
And they won't be needing folks. So, Electric Boat is not going to get rid of poverty, but it will give a lot of people opportunities to have a pretty reliable, steady income until they retire.
Oh, well, you say they have 5,000 current openings.
That seems like a lot, but it's not.
It's not.
No, because once those 5,000 jobs are filled, then that's it. They don't need anybody anymore.
Well, yeah, but the 5,000 people that are working, if they're paying taxes, they have consumer purchasing power, they can pump money back into the community.
Right, but they're not all going to come from Baltimore Street in Hartford. They're going to come from all over the place.
Well, Groton, Connecticut is like what? Close to New London?
Yeah.
That's probably your biggest urban city in that area.
Yeah, but they're not even going to all come from Groton. They may all wind up living, the new people may wind up living in that area because of the proximity to the workplace.
Yeah.
Like people lived in East Hartford because of the proximity to Pratt and Whitney. But once these people have jobs and have bought houses and their community grows and stays viable and all that other yada bada bing, it's not like Pratt and Whitney's hiring 1,000 people every week. They hire until the jobs they need are filled.
Right.
Like the city of Hartford is hiring. But once those jobs are filled, they're not going to be hiring anybody anymore. They don't need anybody else.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about eliminating poverty, and again, I always get mixed opinions towards how you feel about basic investment. But I keep forgetting the name. Basic investment income or something.
Basic minimum income.
Basic minimum income. Yeah.
So, I think that's the right.
Yeah. You just give a certain amount of people across the board
that's
enough money.
That's like steroids. Welfare on steroids. Basic minimum income.
Basic minimum income. Right.
Yeah, where the government is giving you. They're going to have to do something considering the number of people that are no longer needed in the workplace because of technology. So it'll be a paradigm shift. I don't know what it will be, but it'll be something.
No, but I'm saying if everybody has eligibility for $2,000 a month, and again, that still goes on how people spend their money. You can still spend your money recklessly and don't pay your bills and then look for the government to give you more money. So that's
a problem. If people are addicted to, in my thus saith Stan, not necessarily the truth. People are addicted to consumption. They buy. That's what they're addicted. They're addicted to buying.
Right. But I mean, if you and again,
they live outside their means.
Yeah, but if everybody has access to $2,000 a month, let's say if everybody had basic minimum income now, and you give everybody $2,000 a month, you don't see that as the way to eliminate poverty? I mean, you could pay your rent.
They gave everybody money during the pandemic, stimulus money.
Yeah,
They flooded the country with stimulus money. So there's a whole lot of money out there. Wherever there's a lot of money, somebody wants it.
Right.
Now, in order for me to get more money, like for the work that I do, I have to raise my charge.
Right.
So I have to raise my prices. I have not, but I would have to raise my prices. So let's say I double my prices. Now, the next guy going to double his too, so he could be competitive. If I can command that money, so can he, and so can she. Everybody starts charging more. This is inflation. So now everything goes up. Bag of Fritos is now $10 instead of $5. Everything goes up. So all this money that people are getting, how much purchasing power does it have? It starts to diminish. So they say, well, we need more money. Well, you need more money, then the prices are going to go up.
So that's what will happen if you have basic minimum income. You give everybody $2,000 a month. It will increase inflation.
I'm not saying that it will increase inflation. I'm saying if you look back at that short time where everybody got a little piece of money and it wasn't a lot, imagine if you did that all over the country all of the time.
Yeah.
So how it happens in the way it's introduced is critical. And I don't know what they're going to do. Something has to be done because people can't starve to death.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a paradigm shift and a fundamental change in how we sustain ourselves economically. And if we were to get all, Bible and stuff, you get into a worldwide economic program that the Bible refers to as the mark of the beast. And as a result of it, there's, 3.5 years of really nice time.
Yeah.
But,
Well, again, you don't like comparisons. When I say what Inglewood did towards bringing in sports and entertainment and development and making an impact on Inglewood, unfortunately, never had the mayor in to really break it down to a different level than the city manager. But if you get real private investment into a city,
it can work.
It can work.
It did work.
Right.
It worked in Inglewood.
But
will it work in Hartford?
But you always say it's because of Los Angeles, though.
Yeah, but it is.
Okay, you don't give Inglewood any credit.
Oh, but I'm not taking or giving credit to Inglewood.
Yeah.
The stadium is somewhere.
In Inglewood.
Right, so that's where it is. It wouldn't make any difference where it was. It could be in some other little town outside of Inglewood and Los Angeles, and it would do the same thing.
But you're saying, but you said the reason...
There's a population that supports that. Say, open up a nightclub in Hartford and see how long it stays open. I mean, it closes. There's no population here.
I understand that. But what you need to remember, if you don't remember, you probably don't, was Los Angeles went for a long time without that same football team. The Rams left Inglewood. Well, they wasn't in Inglewood. They was in Anaheim. Then they went to St. Louis. So Los Angeles, Metro Los Angeles, was for a long time with that population unable to get an NFL football team.
And then they gave them one. There's who plays in the stadium now?
Well, the Rams play and the Chargers, but the Chargers are going to move to their own stadium in a few years. But right now, the Los Angeles Rams play in Inglewood, and they have the Los Angeles Clippers that are going to move to Inglewood once their arena is
so
built.
They have a tenant that's long term that brings in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue because the fans go there and support that stadium.
Right.
If the NFL snatches that team away, or if that team decides to move to Montreal, that stadium will sit empty.
Right.
And it'll become a albatross around their necks and a financial burden. Right now, it would seem, from what you're telling me, I'm not a scientist in these things, But if the Clippers, as you say, are going to get their own stadium, that means there's enough disposable income. There's a large enough population in that region of the country that it could support 2 stadiums.
Yeah.
They're not building the stadium because it's going to attract people. There's a demand.
Right.
And they're going to use that demand to extract money from these people. And they'll get it.
Right.
So they're building it because there is a demand for it.
But you're suggesting that they could have put that anywhere in Metro LA and it would have worked.
I'm suggesting that if they put it in Anaheim
Right.
instead of Inglewood, it would still be as popular.
Right.
Inglewood just happens to be where it is.
Right.
That's all.
So I wonder, again, I don't want
Inglewood ain't no.
You don't give it a special for the mayor putting the whole project.
No, it's
together.
like getting the Olympics. Wherever the Olympics is on planet Earth, will do well.
Right.
Because there's a global population that will come from wherever they are to that place for that event.
Well, the answer to my second question, it makes it simple. They have the magnet now because I think the NFL Network has moved their operation to Inglewood. But obviously, if you have the Rams,
because they have the number one stadium on the planet,
right,
just about.
So it makes it easy.
Well, most certainly in the United States.
Exactly. So that's the easy thing to attract another business like that because you have a magnet.
You got this fabulous stadium. It's state of the art. There's nothing like it. So everybody wants to be where it is.
Right.
But if it was in Anaheim, that's where everyone would be moving to.
Right.
It's a great win for Inglewood.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what, unfortunately, we want to see. And I know Connecticut, we have ESPN, although they are changing a lot.
Hey, there's downsizing.
They're downsizing. I mean, they're not,
things aren't the way they used to be in cable.
Yeah.
They're not making as much money as they were. Times are tightening. They're still making money, but not like they used to make.
Yeah. But that was always our magnet here in Connecticut towards sports media. Is we had the largest sports cable operator. I guess it still is the largest.
Right, and if it had been in Philadelphia like
Comcast is in Philadelphia.
Right. So wherever they start that's a windfall. It wasn't like the Wizards of Smart said, you know what? If we put a broadcast sports cable network here, it'll grow into a global sports enterprise. And we can draw people. No one sat back and did that. These guys had a dream and a vision. It started in a garage, I think, and it grew into what it is today.
And I don't know what the impact of ESPN has. I guess it has an impact in Bristol.
Absolutely.
To some degree, yeah. But, sometimes you don't always aim for the big, giant football teams and football stadiums. And
they come and go like the
go.
factories and warehouses on Route 5. Sitting empty.
Right.
Because things come, things go.
Well, you remember a couple months ago I had suggested to you, what would be the process of getting like a television operation. I don't know if I said it in that term, but something on that line, like a media company. And you said you could kind of, you wouldn't be directly involved with it, but you could kind of steer people into putting that business plan together.
Well, for a small outfit.
A small outfit, yeah.
That does kind of like what we do on a very small scale.
Right.
But there have been many people who've tried to do major things in this area and they've failed.
Yeah.
Because the area won't sustain it. The desire to do a thing doesn't make a thing happen. You have to have a desire in order to start. But there also has to be a market for it. And there has to be a willingness for folk to support it.
Well, WTIC radio, they get supported because they're part of what, CBS, or they're some big.
Well, the WTIC is the Travelers Insurance Company. Originally had started that.
Right.
That goes way, 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 way back. They're 100 years old.
Right.
So now they can command things. These things didn't just happen overnight.
Yeah. And I mean, WDRC is a solid I mean,
they're 100 and I think one or something
one,
like
right?
that.
So, but I mean, it's a small operation in the big media sense, but it's a solid, stable company, and that's kind of where I.
So
think,
is the place that sells granite headstones next door to them.
yeah, that's true.
And they got customer stream that just won't end.
Right. But you know how difficult media can be to get a new operation off of the ground, you know.
Very difficult, Jonathan, because the market is saturated.
It's saturated.
It's not like folks are looking for a new radio station to listen to.
Yeah.
Everybody you turn around and folk got a little online streaming outfit going with 25 people listening.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, WTIC radio, I mean, they have a strong power band or radius. I mean, obviously that's a huge, I guess you could say that's a big asset for the state overall. Wouldn't you say that's still a good asset that you have?
50,000 watt flamethrower.
50,000 watt flamethrower, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't know what it really does for the majority of the people in
it
the state.
Doesn't. It just brings more money in revenue. I mean, you only need so many people work at a radio station. It's not like you can hire 100,000 people.
Right. That's the thing about it. It doesn't really have that big an impact.
No.
Directly.
It has an impact, but not in terms of employment. It has an impact because of the capacity to influence many ears and minds, because that 50,000 watts covers a whole lot of folk.
Yeah.
50,000 watts of conservative talk radio.
And you can hear that station, and I think I heard people say in some states as far as the Midwest. I don't know if that's true or not, but
50,000 watts is a lot of power.
It's a lot of power, yeah.
That's it, yeah.
So don't take that for granted. But again, that's helping the media company. I mean,
yes.
You can listen to it. I guess that's the one benefit. You don't need satellite radio to listen to.
Nope.
TIC.
But the problem is, of course, if AM radios are taken out of the car.
Yeah, that's going to change the whole dynamic.
Yeah, because people don't, a whole lot of people, are listening. More and more people listen to streaming. But you've got TuneIn, you have iHeart, and most of these radio stations you can now listen to online.
Online too, that's the key thing.
So,
and I think WDRC has moved to FM too, so you can listen to them on FM.
Right, but they're talking about taking the radio out of the car, so everything will be streaming.
Oh, okay. Let's get the radio out of the car.
Yeah, no radio in the car.
So you got to stream. Okay.
Stream. You get million streams. Anything you want to hear is online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a game changer, Stan.
Well, so if you are a land-based broadcast outfit, you need to get online, which is what most of them have done.
Have done anyway, yeah.
Right. You can listen to WQTQ online.
You can. So that solves that problem. But I mean, in your car, you can listen to it on the new version. You'll be able to stream it in your inside your car. You got to have some type of phone or what?
Well, everyone's got a phone. You can link your phone to the car.
To the car, okay. So that's the change. Some older generations still love that radio format, but they got to change with the time.
They're not going to be here more than 20, 30 years.
Right.
They're going to be gone.
And the younger people, I guess
that's all they know is streaming.
So they don't even listen to the radio.
My daughters don't listen to the radio. I don't know if they even know how to operate a radio.
Oh, could you imagine that? Yeah. Yeah, I still like to do both. I like the stream.
I love listening to
the radio. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's changing off from what you're saying.
I must have at least 8 radios.
Oh, you're a radio.
I love radio.
Historian.
Yeah.
You got 8
I love radio.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
Well, again, I don't know if anything really got resolved for bringing up the 35-year documentary. It'll be interesting to see what our guest thinks about it.
Right. Well, let's listen to the experts talk about this. So
right.
I'm interested to hear what Brother Bill has to say.
About that, yeah. But you're kind of neutral again, as usual. You don't get caught up in the documentary.
I like the wonderful world of the middle.
Okay.
Like Sweden, a neutral country.
But you still don't believe documentaries, really. I mean, you talk to people, you do a documentary about something.
I love documentaries.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if this one here did anything in terms of causing change. That's great to watch. Good information.
Good information, yeah. But other than that, I don't, like you said, I don't know what it really did, because it was just outlining what the people were going through. And, you know, even the computer training program and the programs that Eddie Perez was talking about, I guess that was only serving a small segment of the population in the big sense. So again, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if things are much worse than they are 35 years ago, much better. I'll ask the expert and get his opinion.
Yeah.
And but you know, we're in one thing is we're in a different era though, to some degree with technology, the school systems. I don't know if the school systems have changed dramatically, even though they've broken them down in different categories.
Yeah, the schools are hanging on because of teachers. You know, there's other ways to train people.
Right.
But you know, the legacy crowd needs to eat.
And the teacher unions are always going to be strong in Connecticut.
Right. So are they concerned about getting paid or concerned about educating kids? That's the question. What is the path to impact?
And I was listening on the radio coming here. There's some big layoffs still coming to the certain cities in Connecticut. I mean, I don't think that's been resolved. I think
no, they don't have any money.
They don't have any money. Yeah.
Everybody wants more money. So more mouths come to the table for the same size pie.
Yeah.
Somebody's not going to eat.
So layoffs I guess, where does layoffs affect the student though? What's the connection? If teachers are getting laid off, does that really impact the students directly?
It can impact the students if the teachers are the vehicle by which the students acquire the information. It should be laying off everyone else except teachers.
Except teachers, yeah.
But if you lay off those people, then the impact of the student isn't there. So you need to impact the students to make people get up off the money. So the student just becomes something to exploit, which is terrible.
Okay. Well, enjoyed the conversation this morning. Like I say, we'll see how things go from next week and see what's out there to talk about next week. God's willing.
All right, Jonathan, we'll see you next week.
Okay.
All right. Y'all stick and stay. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a great rest of your day.